painful emotional and physical attacks on all-faith lesbian pastor in Port Townsend, Washington. Port Townsend hate crimes against women incited by local government and nonprofits. The most emotionally painful attack and physical violence I have ever received for being a lesbian has been in the streets of Port Townsend, Washington. The most online bullying, intimidation, gaslighting, and hate speech I have ever received for being a lesbian and wanting a same-sex relationship has been in Port Townsend, Washington. The worst hate crimes I have ever experienced for being a lesbian in my entire life has been in the most liberal city I have ever lived in. The city of Port Townsend, Washington self-identifies as a human rights city. The city of Port Townsend incited violent actions and free speech suppression against Port Townsend lesbians, elders, women and those who went to listen to our speeches at a permitted Port Townsend event. The progressive, allegedly open-minded, loving, accepting city of Port Townsend incited hate crimes against lesbians, women and citizens of our community. The city of Port Townsend and Jefferson County prosecutors covered up these felony assault hate crimes with the help of Port Townsend Mayor David Faber's law firm. I am a fifth-generation Montanan. I moved to Port Townsend 11 years ago at the age of 41. The decades prior to moving to PT, I lived in a small rural town in northwest Montana, a predominantly conservative town, religious town, a town where you hear liberals complaining about their guns, their Bibles, their alleged hate and bigotry. I had a real estate company, bakery, ranch, forestry company in this small conservative town. I went to high school there. Plenty of opportunities for the community to assault me, violently silence me in the streets at events, commit hate crimes against me, over decades. I came out as a lesbian at the age of 15. I have had discrimination here and there, some family disapproval. However, in my 52 years on this earth, I have never been hated, hurt, mobbed, bullied, stalked online, harassed, threatened, assaulted, attacked, silenced, physical violence put upon me and pride flags wrapped around my head. Until I moved to the LGBTQ-friendly human rights city of Port Townsend, Washington. The hate crimes against me for being someone who wants a same-sex relationship, for being a lesbian, has only happened to me, in Port Townsend. Here in Port Townsend, Washington, it has been the worst discrimination, bullying, gaslighting, for being someone who wants a same-sex relationship, that I have ever experienced in my entire life. Port Townsend claims to be a city of human rights, dignity for all, safety for all, equality, and no hate here. Yet, there were several lesbians that spoke the night of Amy Souza's press conference in August of 2022, and there were hate crimes committed against all the speakers, and against the women and men who supported us. The violent LGBTQ supportive hateful mob was incited by City Manager John Morrow, with his immediate discrimination against Julie Jaman, who was banned from the Olympic Peninsula YMCA, with no neutrality and no investigation, and his alignment with Port Townsend Police Chief Tom Olson to prejudice and discriminate against Julie Jaman, Amy Souza and anyone who came to Amy Souza's press conference, and their alignment with local trans activist Bo Ogren of Campare Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Port Townsend, Washington, who incited and gathered the mob who committed felony hate crimes against us. Port Townsend Mayor David Faber called the hateful mob who assaulted us, denied our voice, bullied and intimidated us, beautiful and supportive. The entire city council, county commissioners, local large nonprofits, and well, pretty much the whole darn community aligned with him, even though the felony assault hate crimes were in video. There were around 400 people in that intimidating, bullying, violent, free speech suppressing mob. We were 11 speakers and around 20 or so supporters. Men, women, Christian, pagan, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, a very diverse group indeed. We were silenced, our free speech rights denied by violent force. We had pride flags wrapped around our heads. We were hit with flagpoles that held pride flags. We were bullied, intimidated, and hit with a parade of bicycles waving pride flags. Our property was damaged, some stolen. We were knocked down on a brick ground cover, pressed against a brick wall. Men standing with us kicked in the privates, women knocked down violently, and we were intimidated to not speak our truth, our rights. I spoke on the values of pride. I was intimidated, pride flag wrapped around my head, foghorn at my ears, and much more horror, and all in the LGBTQ-friendly Port Townsend. Our voice and our rights were drowned out by Port Townsend hate. Hate that was incited by the city of Port Townsend, the actual local government, and law enforcement. I have hundreds upon hundreds of emails, dozens upon dozens of video footage, a whole lot of hateful comment screenshots, that paint a picture of a community, a city and county government, Antifa, and Olympic pride inciting hate crimes against women, lesbians and our supporters that night. I will continue to paint the picture of the origin of these hate crimes, the hate crimes themselves, and the government and prosecutors' cover-ups of these hate crimes. I will publish a full timeline and chronology at some point. For now we are still working on prosecutions for the assaults, the hate crimes, as Jefferson County, Washington is ignoring them, and the loving supporting LGBTQ-friendly community continues to deny our experience and our victims' rights and the law.